Hey guys, it's TFNet. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This time it's going to be of the Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H. Figuarts Jujutsu Kaisen 0 Suguru Geto figure. Very excited to finally have this figure in the line. Me personally, I think this has been a bit of a long time coming. This is one of the big villains in this series. And unfortunately, I didn't think he was all that great in Season 1, but in the movie, he was really fantastic. And he's going to be really great if you haven't read the manga. This upcoming season, he is going to be fantastic. So, there's not much else I want to talk about here. Very glad, again, we do have this figure right here. When it comes to the packaging, it's pretty standard with this subline of SH Figuarts. We do have Bandai Namco right there, some of the accessories, and the figure in the box there too. Some of the toy photos on the side as well. It does say SH Figuarts Suguru Geto Jujutsu Kaisen 0. It's going to say that throughout the whole packaging, but it also does say right there, if you want to pause and read that, it's a little bit over on the left, what this line is all about. It's like that on pretty much any Tamashii Nations, or really SH Figuarts box, I should say. It does say Made in China towards the bottom. We do have logos for Jujutsu Kaisen 0, as well as Bandai and Tamashii Nations. I forgot to mention this in the new Naruto review. We do have a smaller Tamashii Nations quality sticker now. Not sure why it's smaller, but something I just wanted to mention. It's not really that big of a difference. We do have on the side here, like with other SH Figuarts Jujutsu Kaisen figures, as you see here, just these square panel images of some of the different features that are shown off, and the character's name, as well as what this is from, which is Jujutsu Kaisen 0, of course. Now, we look on this side, there's not much going on. It's a little bit of toy photography continued. It does say Suguru Geto and Jujutsu Kaisen. We look on the top here, if I could focus up a little bit. There's an image of Suguru right there, and again, standard stuff, SH Figuarts, character's name, and what series they're from. We look on the bottom here, another image and a different pose of the character, and just like the top, again, SH Figuarts and all that. Okay, so we look on the back of the packaging here, if I can focus up for you. You can see some of the different images and toy photography they've done, as well as option parts, simple style, and heroic action, other stuff like that. We do also have a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, I can't read because I did import this. It does say ages 15 and up, the Toho animation logo, and the barcode, just in case you need it. Let's go ahead, get this figure out of the packaging. Here's the figure out of the packaging, and while I do like this figure, I do think there's some things with the overall engineering and just execution of the figure I don't think is super well done, and it's not necessarily Tamashii Nations' fault. I think it's more due to the character design, unfortunately, but it's still pretty cool. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a closer look at the figure. Here's an image of all the accessories that you see here. A couple faces, a different assortment of hands. We do have Playful Cloud, as well as an alternate hairpiece. Here is the instruction manual. Looks like we have another paper one here. Some of the SH Figuarts figures have been doing paperless, where you have a barcode on the packaging for a PDF. But as you can see here, we have the paper one, and it goes over all the stuff included in this figure, how to interchange some things, how to avoid paint rub and whatnot. So first thing I want to talk about, and I mentioned this I think like 6 months ago at this point when I did my original toy news video for this figure. I was really hoping Tamashii Nations, when they showed off, the promotional images, or like they teased it, that they were going to do Playful Cloud with this figure. And I'm really glad that they actually gave us Playful Cloud, because not only does Geto use this, but other characters like Maki and Fushiguro also use it. So hopefully this could be compatible with those characters. It really isn't for Fushiguro, unfortunately, because it doesn't come with gripping hands. But if we ever get Maki, then that's cool. But really glad that they came. We have the 3-section staff here. It's a bit more of a harder plastic. We look at one end here, and it's mostly molded in red, and we have this a little bit of this blue going on. The paint there, the black pieces at each end, looking really good. It's mostly like a glossy black paint. I can't tell if these are actual chains or if they're plastic. But they definitely look like, they're painted black, so it helps, but they definitely look like chains. I just wouldn't move these around too much. That was probably not super easy to get that done. Glad that we have this weapon now. Speaking of Playful Cloud, we do have ambidextrous hands for holding Playful Cloud, and you're going to need these, of course, because, it is a pretty difficult weapon to use one-handed. So we do have these. It's in a very consistent skin tone with the rest of the hands. And it looks a little too bright on my camera. But as you see with that C-grip, you can pry these hands open just slightly, and then it fits in there. And it's a perfect circle for that. And these wrist pegs, unfortunately, if you want to use these for Fushiguro, they're too small. Darn it, Bandai. You could have just made it a little bit bigger, couldn't you? Anyway, we do have these like expressive. They're kind of relaxed, but they're mostly just like these expressive hands that with these gestures that he makes. If we zoom in a little bit, I might have to turn the brightness down just a bit, but you can tell we do have individual like fingernails sculpted there. The back of the hands has a pretty decent details too. It's a little bit glossy on the skin tone and a little bit of paint in some areas, but you also do have details in the palms right there. We have this one expressive hand here. I wish we had another one, but this is for when he's about to use his curse technique. This is kind of like the last move he attempts on Yuta at the end of the movie. So that's what that reminds me of, at least. And these fingers are even more spread out, and you do have the fingernails sculpted in there. Then we have a hand, which it was kind of a no-duh that we were going to get this before the official images came out. But the curse technique orb, when this is one of the most broken curse techniques, I'm pretty sure, where, basically stealing curse spirits. That's pretty insane. But the detailing on here is pretty nice. It's just mostly a sphere, of course. A little bit of black, a little bit of brown in there. It does not come out. You're not going to really want to make it come out, though. So there's that. It is pretty much ported in there. I've tried to pull it a little bit. I'm not going to... If it is removable, then it's not very easy. I'm not going to force it. I don't think the instructions said it was. Again, pretty good detail with those fingernails. So we're done with the hands. Let's look at the face plates, and then we'll finish with the... we are going to finish with the hair. So this is a little bit more of an angrier, gritting teeth face, and as opposed to this one here that he comes packaged with, as you see. And it does kind of look pretty similar to that, but you definitely tell it is a little bit angrier. The gritting teeth expression is really nice. The eyes are really nicely painted. All of this is one piece, as you see here. Sometimes, the hair pieces are separate on some of these figures, but it is one piece now, and it's a little interesting to see, but it's not bad. And then this is a softer plastic little strand right there. The earrings have some really nice blue paint. I think a tiny bit of blue is going onto the ear, but it's not too bad. You also have this face right here. It's just closed eyes, smiling. I think this is supposed to be accurate, but I wish that the paint was a little bit better, actually, to where it was all the way. But again, I think that is accurate. Or it could not be, and they didn't paint it all the way. I'm actually not sure. But they do have some paint in there. The closed eyes, all that looks pretty good. Everything else is pretty similar. I forgot to mention there's some pretty good detailing in the actual hair there. And then we do have this one here. Oh, if I can even hold it. This more side eye, the bombastic side eye, as you see here. Again, I don't like the separation of the mouth paint right there. I wish it was more consistent, but it's not bad. Looking down here, I do kind of wish maybe we had one more head where it's like this, but looking forward. But he does do this a lot in Jujutsu Kaisen 0, so I can forgive it for that. And it's just, damn, look at that side eye. It's printed on there really nicely too. And then we do have this alternate hair piece, as you see here. It's more of a windswept look. All these strands are actually a little bit of a softer plastic, but I still wouldn't push these around too much just in case something could break. But everything is really nicely sculpted in the hair strands there. Really digging that. And this is a little bit difficult, but you're going to want to pull this ever so slightly until it pops out like so. And then ever so slightly, you want to push it in. And then, actually does not want to push in right now. I think I was able to get it in a little bit, but that's what it looks like windswept, and that's what it looks like from the front. So a pretty good amount of accessories. Before we get to any problems with the engineering that I mentioned earlier, I want to say that Tamashii Nations did a really good job capturing the actual look of this character. This faceplate that he came packaged with is really nice. The creases underneath the eyes and a little bit above the eye too, and then the eyebrow, all that paint is really clean. The eyes and the pupils, a little bit hard to see, but that looks fantastic. Look at that. And then the separation of the teeth paint with the crease, the mouth crease right there with that paint, that looks really great. The ear sculpt is nice, and with these earrings being a pretty small area to paint, on none of my faces it's splotched, so that's good. We also have the soft plastic hair strand here. I feel like the black of the hair here and the black of this front piece is not super consistent. I feel like this is a little bit lighter somehow. I don't know. I just don't see it super. You have to look really hard, so I'm not gonna knock it too much. But also, this figure suffers from the Nobara effect, unfortunately. I'm not going to really coin it that way because other figures have this too. But, we have
this front hairpiece sculpted on here, and then this big separation of the plastic, unfortunately, and then it's just too apparent if you ask me. The bun on the hair is really nice though. The joint is a little exposed, but with the articulation, it actually keeps this pose and it can hide that. And the I think there's actually a few extra harder plastic pieces here on this alternate hair piece, and I mention that because it's actually there are harder plastic pieces and a little bit softer plastic pieces too on this. And then you have some creasing all throughout the hair. All that is very fantastic. I do think that the skin tone on the neck is also pretty consistent, and I'm hoping there's no marks of white on there, but it doesn't look like it. The white on the outfit looks really good. My biggest problem, and I know that this is accurate to the design, is that this entire, I'm not sure what article of clothing this is. I do apologize. But this entire yellow piece here, I think people have mentioned this before already, what it's called. I just forget. I do apologize again. This piece here, while it looks good, it's so floppy, man. And it's also glued in here, like it's ported in there. You can't take that out. My back camera lights keep coming off, unfortunately. So I'm going to bring the brightness up a little bit more. But, you know, it's all painted rather nicely. I think some of the yellow gets on the green a little too much, unfortunately. And this is softer plastic, but this comes undone super easily. And then this does pop out of this ball joint sometimes. If I'm being honest, man, I don't know what they could have done. They really should have done, honestly, like soft goods. And if I'm being honest, if somebody out there ends up making soft goods of these, I would recommend maybe chopping this off here and then maybe just switching this with soft goods. Because not only is this difficult to port through, I can't even do it through the camera. Like, you have to push this through instead of pulling it, because just pulling it, like, just grabbing and pulling this is not going to be easy. I mean, I did it right now, but it will just, ever so slight movements, it will get undone. It's just not a very efficient system. I mean, I like that there's some detailing of the tying right here as well as there, and then, you know, mentioning that too. I would replace this, honestly. And then, you know, this ball joint allows us to move up and down, but, you know, it's going to be loose no matter what, unless you start, you just keep pulling over and over again. Just how many times can you pull until you get fed up with it, you know what I mean? Not only will this, you know, just not really work super well, but, and this is, again, part of the character designs that I was talking about. This is a softer plastic. It's a very soft plastic, actually, so you can move the legs around, but this won't freeform with this super easily. You can see all that gappage there. It just looks sloppy. That's why, if you don't mind, again, you really should replace this with soft goods if somebody makes it in the future, or you can make it yourself. Another thing I want to mention, design choice wise, I knew he was going to have some really baggy arms. This is kind of reminiscent of the Figma Demon Slayer figures, the way that those outfits are done. With this, though, I don't think the way that those bags are done on those figures of the Figmas, I think that Figma, you know, Good Smile, does a really good job of hiding some of the like gappage with the joints. This is what they did here with Tamashii Nations. This does not continue in here. They have sculpted a deep enough section to where you can maybe make something like in here, block that. But I know they were going for the, you know, the range of motion in the joint here. But man, that is ugly. And that's how it looks if you do it. You're going to end up doing a 90-degree pose. And then it just looks too much like a Figma ball joint too. So I'm already mentioning a lot of different issues here in terms of the engineering. But again, this is the character's design, unfortunately. If they were to make, I'm going to spoil a little bit of things, you know, season 2, the high school stuff with Geto and Gojo, which they will definitely make a high school Gojo. If they make a high school Suguru Geto, that will probably be more well received, I think, than what we have here, because this is just really messy. I'm going to try to move on because I do like how the rest of the outfit is done here. I'm going to try to get some stuff done really fast. This is not super consistent with how baggy this is compared to this, and that will cover that. But, you know, we do have these nice, you know, lines sculpted in here. All this looking really good, and that's what the inside of the skirt piece looks like. And you do get to see how the actual pants, not really pants really, but they did sculpt this to all look like it's the same as this there. but it's all just in this one color. And then the knees kind of like, it doesn't look, it's not consistent, at least in my viewfinder. It's not very consistent. I forgot to mention the fists here. The fists look really good. Jujutsu Kaisen characters usually have really big hands, but he's got really, really big hands. And the white here of the outfit doesn't bleed into the blackish blue there. All that is really clean, actually. And then, what else can I mention? I didn't really know. I don't know if I mentioned the back here. But, you know, the way that they did the, you know, the butterfly joint, kind of similar to other characters where the sculpt breaks up a little bit. But actually, you know, you get a good range of motion in there. And there's a little bit of gappage, but it's not too bad. We look on the back. And they do have some sculpted lines in the back and some wrinkles in the back of the joint there, which is really sick. So I'm digging that. I do feel like there's just not that much paint, but the way that they have molded a lot of these parts and then what little paint is there, it does all make it look really good. Now on to the feet. The way that the sandals are done, and you know, I wouldn't call this a sock. I don't exactly know what all this part would be for the feet, but all that looks really good. It looks like the brown goes onto the white in some areas, just a tiny bit, but you have to look really close for that. And then actually, the way that this moves, it's kind of consistent, you know. I mean, the line breaks up a little, but it's actually kind of cool how they did that. To where it doesn't break up too much. That's a little worse on this side. But man, the bottom of the sandal here, there's not much detailing, but I think that's fine. And then the toes, you know, the separation of the toe and the rest of the feet. All of that looks really good. So unfortunately, I did go on a little bit of a tangent. But there is just some flaws with the engineering here, again, because of the design of the character that Tamashii Nations couldn't avoid, sadly. Pretty good articulation on this guy, but some of the soft plastic pieces do get in the way, unfortunately, which was my fear. This is on a dumbbell joint, so it can go side to side. We do have a joint going into the torso, too. So all that extra articulation and that hair articulation, you can go forward. You can make it go back when you move that hair piece, which I wish it went up a little bit higher, but it's still pretty good. And then the rotation, there's no problem. I think you grab the neck. There's still some rotation. It's just a little bit hard to get a rotation out of this. You can make this pivot this way a little bit. And, of course, the hinging is really nice. I've had to tuck this underneath here because I know it's going to be a problem. But all this ball joint range of motion, the butterfly joint, you can make it drop down a little bit. And then all of it can get blocked mostly by this plastic piece. But forward like this, up, and then down, you can make it sit flush, if you maneuver it a bit. And then that's how far out it goes. That's really good. And the arms do go all the way around here, and it can swivel a little bit up in here. Is there anything else I'm missing? I don't think so. But we do have a little bit of a swivel. Actually, no, just a little bit of the swivel here. And this single joint does bend all the way, but it breaks up the sculpt horribly, unfortunately. Standard wrist articulation where it hinges up and down. You can swivel both areas and we can go in and out. Okay, here we go. Okay, what is going on, man? That's what that looks like with that, I guess. Wow, what is going on there? Interesting. Anyway, we do have a little bit of forward and back, and the side to side is not great. So this section is not very good. Actually, okay, I got it moving a little bit more back. I don't know what was going on there. But forward's not great, but you get a little bit better forward at this separate rotation. I don't like the articulation. It's not great. We do have forward right there, and then we actually have really good back, the way that's sculpted. And then we have, like, well, it's not perfect splits, but you can get out that much. Can I really get... Yeah, no, there's just no... It's just swiveling with the ab articulation. It's not great. Thigh swivel there, double jointed knee that has some continued details, which is nice. Swivel at the ankle, down, up, ankle rocker, toe hinge. Measuring out the figure, this is going to be about under 16 and a half centimeters. So that is going to put this at about under 6.5 inches tall. As you can see with the other Jujutsu Kaisen Zero figures, I can't bring all the Jujutsu Kaisen stuff out right now. It's just not going to fit. But the Zero figures, on the left, that's Gojo. It's going to be a little bit taller. On the right, Yuta, of course, a younger character is going to be a little bit shorter. Far left, Marvel Legends figures are actually about the same height as this Geto, actually. And then Geto is going to be a little bit taller than the standard size
Black Series first version of Mando. Overall, I do think that there is a little bit of some mess going on with this figure. Unfortunately, I think that's due to the character design, but there is a lot of really good things about this figure. It does pose around a little bit better than I thought it was going to while I was taking these photos. That torso piece, unfortunately, does get in the way of articulation a bit, and that strap piece just comes undone way too much to where sometimes I have to tuck it underneath the arm, actually. So I'm really not a big fan of that. I would replace that with soft goods if you can. The rest of the articulation is pretty decent, except for in the torso. It really does not want to move around still. But all the accessories that this figure comes with are really nice. The sculpting overall is very good, and I'm really glad to have this character in the line. I do kind of wish we had a Season 1 face with the scars on his forehead. If you know, you know. But I understand why it didn't, because this is the Zero version. Maybe in the future we'll get something, not entirely sure. But this is still a rather nice figure. It just has a bit of some problems associated with it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.